we can look at each other for a while. I recognize some of the old students, and some new ones here. I have to meet them afterwards. Are you all nervous? Little bit. Are you? I'm a little bit. I was wondering if you know why you are all here as students. If you are asked most politely why you come here and not go to other schools, what would you say? What would be your reply? You know, this school is a little bit different from other schools. In most of the schools I have been to, both in England, where unfortunately or fortunately, I was a student here, and the schools have been in India and America and here, generally cultivate knowledge. That is, gather a lot of information about mathematics, geography, history, biology and archaeology and so on, physics. Store it up carefully in the brain, passing many exams, most unfortunately, which is a rather nasty business and frightening affair, and use that knowledge in daily life skillfully. That is generally what the universities, colleges, and schools strive to do. Gather a lot of information, which is called knowledge, and use it in factories, in engineering, business, army, and so on. That's the whole area of knowledge in human activity. You know that, I'm quite sure. Here, I think we are trying to do something different, if one may point out to you. We not only want the gathering of information well and carefully stored, but also we would like, if one may point out, inwardly, psychologically, inside the skin, as it were, we try to bring about a different type of human being. A human being that's entirely different from the rest of the world. The rest of the world is pretty nasty, ugly, violent, terror. It's becoming more and more dangerous to live. I don't know if you have noticed it. Both in America, in Europe, and India, and everywhere, it's becoming really quite appalling, frightening. So we are trying to bring about in Brockwood and in other schools where we are connected to change the human mind and the human heart so that they are not violent, not brutal. They have a great deal of love and affection and care, but also supremely intelligent. The word intelligence is rather a difficult word because each one tries to interpret it according to one's own desires, conclusions, and what others have said about intelligence. I wonder what you think is intelligence, to be intelligent. Intelligence is not to be clever. There are lots of clever people in the world, but they're not very intelligent. They're cunning, they are speculative, think about great many things divorced from their daily life. You've noticed that, I'm sure. They say one thing and do another. Think one thing and act in a different way. So that in one's life there is contradiction. In there. Now, to avoid this contradiction totally is to be intelligent. You understand? That is, most human beings right throughout the world, and I've traveled a great deal in the world, except in Russia and China. And before the war, I used to go all over Europe. And I've traveled a great deal in India and in America. And one has noticed that human beings, right through all these countries, never mean what they say. They have a great many speculative ideas, theories, hopes, but in their daily life, they are quite different. They are vulgar, angry. They say to their children, don't drink, but they drink. Don't smoke, and they smoke. You know, the whole contradiction that goes on. So, what we are trying to do here is not only to cultivate the brain to its highest capacity, but also to cultivate inwardly so that there is no contradiction. A human being lives in harmony, totally. You understand all this? Am I talking? Do you understand all this, what I'm saying? Oh, there she is. So that's what we are trying to do here. To be highly intelligent, which means to live a life in which there is no contradiction. When you say something, do it. When what you mean, you really mean it. So that there is no gap between thought and action. You know? This is very important, I think, if I may point out, that one should understand. So, I want to talk about this, if I may, and if you're interested in it. First, do you know what communication means? Not by telephone, and that's a different form of communication. But here we are, a group of us, a small community living at Brockwood, and to communicate with each other. Do you know what that word communicate means? Now, there are different forms of communication. Apart from letters, telephone, telegraph, telegrams, and all that. And also there is another form of communication, that is verbally, to tell you something, by gesture, by watching one's eyes, how one speaks. So there is not only a verbal communication, but there is also communication through gesture, through the eye, the way one speaks, the shake of the head. All that is a form of communication. Right? And while one is communicating something, we must both of us think about the same thing. You understand? Otherwise, you might be thinking about something, and I might be thinking about something. And I will tell you what I'm thinking about, but you might not listen to it. Whereas if both of us listen to this, to the same thing. Say, for instance, I want to tell you, if I may, what? I don't know for the moment. I want to tell you how important it is to live a life that is complete, whole, not broken up, not fragmented. To live a life that is completely without any fissure, any fiction. To live completely. I want to tell you that. How do you listen to such a statement? Do you understand my question? I say to you, if I may, one must live a life that is complete. The word complete we'll discuss presently what it means. But how do you listen to it? Do you listen with your own opinions, with your own ideas, with your own conclusion, or you say, well, you put those aside and try to listen to the person who is speaking, so that we both of us are thinking together about the same thing. You understand? That is real communication. If all of us are thinking together about the same thing, then there is no contradiction yet. We are looking, thinking together, sharing the thing together. But that is broken when you begin to say, well, what does he mean by it? Does the word whole, to live totally, completely, what does it mean? So, if you are thinking about the meaning of the word, or try to find out what you think about of living a life which is total, then we're not thinking together. Do you understand this? Am I explaining something or not? Please, I want to communicate with you about this. I want to tell you about this. So we are together looking at something. You understand? Huh? I want to tell you, say for instance, about how to walk. How to hold your body when you're walking. I want to tell you about it. And you are interested. If you are, then we are both of us thinking about how to walk together. You understand? How to walk. I wonder if I'm making myself clear, am I? Good? It's fairly simple, isn't it? Good. So, I want to communicate with you a way of life, not only here, but right through life. Right through, when you go to business, when you get married, when you have sex, when you have children, when you have a job, all that, right through. To live a life that is supremely intelligent. So that you are never in contradiction, therefore in conflict, in confusion, in misery. I want to communicate with you about that. Because that's the most important thing in life. Not merely getting money, a lot of money, house, and excitement, sex, all that thing that's going on in the world. I think that's the most stupid way of living. I'll point it out why to you, why it is stupid. Not that I'm telling that you must agree with what I'm saying. On the contrary, we must question each other. We must ask questions. We must not agree, but see the thing together. Have you understood, ha capito? Bene. So the first thing is how to listen. To learn the art of listening. Because listening is very, very important in life. Find out what it means to listen to somebody. It doesn't matter, a bird, or the wind in the leaves, when there is a thunderstorm, as there was the other night here. To listen to it, and to listen to somebody. Here, now, you're listening to me. How do you listen? What does it mean to listen to the speaker? Don't get bored, please. Wait another half an hour, 40 minutes, then you can get bored. But in those 40 minutes, don't be bored. So let's find out what it means to listen to listen. The act of listening. If you are carrying on with your own thoughts, with your own problems, how you sit, how you look, what you should do tomorrow, whether you should put on that dress or this pair of shoes or that, then you are not listening to what the other fellow is saying, right? That's fairly simple, isn't it? So, to listen implies, doesn't it, that you are not thinking about other things, but actually listening to what the other person is saying, right? Can you do that? To listen and not have an inward dialogue with yourself all the time. To listen to somebody without carrying on conversation in yourself. You understand that? Can you do that? It's quite difficult. To listen to somebody, or to listen to the birds, or to that thunderstorm of yesterday, or listen to the silence of a morning, absolutely without having a conversation or talking with yourself all the time, soliloquy. You understand? Can you do that? Try it, which we are going to do now, for fun. Which is, I want to tell you how to listen. so that your mind is quiet. You are listening to somebody else. Therefore, you are not carrying on with your own thoughts. So your mind is quiet so that it can listen to somebody. Huh? That's simple, isn't it? Can you do it? So that way you learn very quickly. Whether it's mathematics or geography, whatever it is, or what I'm going to say, you learn instantly. That's the way to learn. To listen without having a dialogue with yourself, without that dialogue, to listen completely. And that's the art of listening. We won't go into the art of seeing, the art of learning. We'll come to that a little later. So, the art of listening will bring about instant learning, seeing something immediately. Huh? So, now we're going to talk over together, you and I, together, how to learn together a way of living in which there is no conflict. Right? No conflict at all. You might say to me, how do you know about it? Right? How dare you, or with what impudence can you talk about it if you don't live a life which has no conflict? How dare you talk about a life which is, you follow? That would be a contradiction, wouldn't it? So, I point out to you, I don't live a life in conflict. Right? I have never done it. Because I think it's absurd, childish, stupid to live that way. To live constantly in battle with oneself. So, we are going to talk about that first. A way of living in which everyday life, not occasionally, but all the time, a way of living in which you have no conflict whatsoever. This is the greatest intelligence, isn't it? Huh? Do you understand this? We said intelligence is to live a life in which there are no regrets. Don't say, my God, I wish I hadn't done that, and pay for it afterwards. A life in which there are no fragments. That is, think one thing, say another, think one thing and do something else, which are a contradiction, aren't they? So, not to have contradictions in life. Which means you might love somebody and hate somebody else. That's a contradiction. So to live a life in which there is no contradiction whatsoever. Can you do this? You can only do it if you learn about yourself, right? What you are, what you think, why you think. To find out what your thoughts are, what your feelings are, why you act this way, why you think these things, what your motives are, so that you know all about yourself. See, when you begin to know about yourself, then you see very clearly that you are not so very different from a million other people, whether they live in India or America or Europe or anywhere else. Because human beings go through the same problems, same misery, same confusion. They are frightened, they are anxious, occasionally extraordinarily happy, and frightened of death, frightened of living. This is common to all people, to all humanity, right throughout the world. So when you begin to know yourself, you discover that you are like the vast human world. And that gives you enormous vitality. I wonder if you understand this. I wish you would discuss with me this. Would you?
What do you mean by vitality?
Huh?
What do you mean by vitality?
What do I mean by vitality? I'll show you. When you think you are different from the rest of the world, you limit your outlook to a very small circle, don't you? That is, when you think that you are different from an Indian in India or European, that you are really an American or an Arab or whatever you are, you limit your vision, don't you? You limit your outlook, don't you? And also, you separate yourself, isolate yourself from the rest of the world, don't you? If I say I'm a Hindu born in India of a Brahmin family, and I have limited myself to a very, very small area, haven't I? But when I realize, by understanding myself, when I realize that I'm like the American, like the European, follow? Like the Arab, then I'm all humanity. That gives me extraordinary sense of energy, doesn't it? No? I want to discuss with myself.
No, on the opposite, it gives you a feeling that you're very small. If you're part of everybody, then it gives
No, you're not part of everybody. You're not part of an Indian, of course not. But you are like the Hindu who suffers, who is frightened, who is anxious, who has no job. You follow? And you have also no job, you are also frightened, you are also anxious, you are unhappy. You're not this, it is not part of something, you are all that. I wonder if you understand this.
small unit kind of.
Do you?
When somebody feels itself that he's different, then it gives him, it feels really nice, people.
And you're not identifying yourself with India, or with America, or with somebody. You're not, you are like that. You're part of all, you are all that. I don't quite understand this difficulty. Look, you are frightened, aren't you? Huh? Oh, it's a common thing. Huh? My goodness, why are you frightened at this age? For goodness sake. We'll go into that. Don't be frightened, ever. That's terrible. Because that makes you ugly, that makes you dull, that it's like living in darkness. Don't ever be frightened. Now, I say, you are frightened, aren't you? And you say, yes, I am. And you go to India, and when I talk to the students there, they say, sir, yes, I'm very frightened. And I go to America, they also say, I'm very frightened. So, fear is common to all mankind, isn't it? Huh? Which is not that you identify yourself with India or America, but it's common factor. Right? Do you see that? It's a common thing for all human beings, whether they live in different climates, different cultures, different education, or whatever it is. Common factor is fear. Right? Like you. You have fear, they have fear. So there is a common thread running through all human beings in the world. See that? When you realize that, what does it do to you? You are not separate in fear. It's a common thing. Therefore, it gives you a certain quality of stability to look at fear. I wonder if I'm Mr. Joe. You see, wait a minute. There are various nationalities, aren't there? India, Arabs, Jews, all the rest of it, the various nationalities. All of them fighting each other, right? All of them gathering armaments, fight each other. Is that a sane way of living? Obviously not. Wait. I'm coming. You can ask afterwards. So, if there were no nationalities, what would happen? Divided, what would happen? If you are not Arab or I am not a Hindu, no division, what would happen?
No division.
We wouldn't kill each other, would we? Collecting a lot of armaments, and you collecting a lot of armaments, fighting each other. We would stop that. We may fight in different other ways, but that kind of division and quarrels and wars would end, wouldn't it? That's all.
But when you have a nationality, it gives you something to live for, and people look for those things.
Yes, that's it. That is. Human beings right throughout the world seek stability, security in nationality. Right? But that very security is denied or destroyed when they fight each other. Do you know, say for in India, I was told the other day, they spend on armaments 50% of their revenue, you understand? And 2% on education. You follow? It's the same the world over. So is that intelligence? Is that intelligent way of living? We seek security through nationality, right? And that very security is denied when there is a war.
No, then it helps you. Then you feel that you can depend on someone. It gives you a very good feeling.
And the other fellow wants the same thing. He's going to kill you for his security. Oh, this is simple. So let's find out whether it is an intelligent way of living in this monstrous world, in this terrible, destructive world, this perpetual quarrels, perpetual wars. Catholics, Protestants, Hindus, Muslims, the whole. Is that a sane way of living? Well, never mind. So, as I was saying, the more you know about yourself, and there is a great deal to know about yourself, because you are the entire humanity. Entire humanity. More you know about yourself, the more you see the common factor in all human beings. Fear, anxiety, unhappiness, death, fear of death, and so on, so on, so on. And when you see something so enormous, it gives you extraordinary sense of depth and vitality. So,
when somebody says, I'm a very important person, then it gives him vitality.
or
When somebody says that he's a very important person, this gives him
of course,
vitality.
I mean, when one is very ambitious, it gives you certain vitality. Yes, but what is implied in that? He becomes ruthless. He's thinking about himself, his position, his status. So that gives a certain kind of vitality which is very destructive, isn't it?
Not to himself.
Huh?
Not to himself.
Not to himself, but to people around him.
Yeah, but he's important. He doesn't really care.
Look, I'm very ambitious. Suppose I'm very ambitious. Suppose I'm married and have children. I'm ruthless in the office because I'm climbing the ladder, and brutal there, and come home and be very affectionate. There's a contradiction, isn't there? Which means what? That there is no love. I may love my wife and children, but when I go out in the office, I become brutal. So it is not love, is it? At home say, I love you, darling, and then go and hit somebody outside. What do you say to all this?
love doesn't give you vitality as much as security does.
But security doesn't give you vitality. There's always fear there. I'm climbing the ladder of success and I may fail. Well, my neighbor also is, my friend is also struggling up the same ladder. He might push me down. I'm frightened. This is everyday common factor, isn't it? So at home, I think I love, and when I go to the office, I become a beast. And my life is fragmented, broken up. And therefore, a thing that's broken up can never love, can it? Huh? So, first thing, as we said, is to learn what it is to listen. Which doesn't mean you agree with the person who is talking, but you listen to find out what he's saying. Then you can have a dialogue with him. You follow? Then you can ask him questions. But first, learn to listen. That means don't have a conversation with yourself, in yourself. Don't say, well, while you are listening to me, for example, don't think about anything else, but actually listen. Even, doesn't matter, even for 2 minutes, that's enough. That gives you follow, capacity to learn very quickly. Say, for instance, you're listening, and you look out of the window and see the tree. Then look at the tree completely. You follow? Look at it, see all the movement of the leaves, the color, the shape, the blue sky, the white clouds and the green grass and the birds sitting there. See it completely. And then come back and listen completely. You follow? I wonder if you understand this. Do you? Good. Do it. But if you do it, then it becomes fun. So, first, communication. That is, I want to tell you something, and you listen without having a conversation inside yourself, but actually listen to what is being said, so that you and I are both communicating with each other, actually. Then, if you want to discuss or have a dialogue with me, then that's quite a different process. You understand? Right. So let's have a dialogue about something. Right, let's go back to nationality.
I think most people are very happy with nationality.
I know most people are, because most people are thoughtless. They don't go into the whole, deeply into the question of nationalities. That's become the tradition. You know, say for instance in India, at one time there was no question of nationality. They were all, they're living the country, they were all there. But moment, like the rest of the world, they copy. So when you have nationalities, what is involved in that? First, it gives you a great deal of security, doesn't it? Feeling that you belong to something much greater, much bigger. A big state. That gives you not only security, it gives you a certain sense of importance. It gives you a certain sense of position. I am British. Or I am an American. That immediately gives you a sense, but you're very important. So, there is not only security, self-importance, and a feeling of great pride. And the other fellow feels exactly the same thing about his country. Right? So, I protect my security by armament. And the poor fellow, he does the same thing. So, ultimately, we're going to destroy each other. So, where is my security? So, where is...
It seems that it's being destroyed by seeking that security. It seems that the security is being destroyed by the...
That's what I'm saying. Security, which we must have physically, bread, clothes, food, and shelter, that is common things, absolutely necessary for everybody in the world. But we are destroying it because our nationalities. You know, I believe I was told, I don't know how accurate it is, there's enough food, or food can be manufactured, got together for whole of human beings. But that's not possible when you say, well, I'm in India, so I'm going to be self-sufficient. You follow? I'm spending a great deal of money on armaments. Oh, for God's sake, it's so silly, all this. And that's our tradition. And that's encouraged by the politicians, encouraged by every voter who feels completely secure and is blind.
But it seems that all nature is fighting. All nature, for food and, even plants and all animals.
They must have security.
No, but they need things and they fight for it. They destroy each other. They eat each other.
All right, animals, it's not their own species, they destroy other species, right? Lion destroys gazelles and all that, other species. But we are killing each other, our own species. Oh. So is it really a problem to you, this? Or are you discussing just for the fun of discussing? So it's a problem, is it? Why? Because you have identified with a particular group of people?
No, because, in Israel there is a lot of nationality, and people seems really happy.
People are very happy. Have you watched them playing on the television? People watching football, they're very happy. They forget about everything. For an hour and a half, they yell themselves sick. They're perfectly happy.
And they don't seem to really mind very much about going to wars. It becomes natural. Almost.
I know that. Is that an intelligent way of living? Or is there a different way of living? where we don't hate each other, where there is no violence, where there is some kind of, for God, some kind of affection, love, and all the rest of it.
But if it seems so good, why didn't people discover it? I mean, why did they have nationalities?
Because people are generally stupid. They don't want to listen. They don't want to find out.
Could we talk about wholeness?
Huh?
You said that we might talk about wholeness. Wholeness.
Yes.
Could we discuss that? Could we discuss that?
Discuss it. Go ahead. Have a dialogue about it. What do you mean by being whole? That's what his question is. Could we discuss that? You're not tired, are you? Huh? Bored? Wait another 10 minutes. Then you get bored. He wants to discuss or have a dialogue about what it is to be whole. First of all, let's find out what the meaning of the word discussion and dialogue mean. These two words, discussion and dialogue. Discussion, according to dictionary meaning, whether it's Webster or whatever dictionary, means through opinions find truth. You understand? That is through argument, through various kinds of, you offer an opinion and I offer an opinion and somebody else, and by discussing, by going into each opinion, find truth. And also that's called dialectics and all the rest of it. The other is dialogue, is talking over together as two friends about a subject in which they are very deeply interested. See the difference? That is, one is a dialogue, the other is a discussion. We are not discussing, we are having a dialogue. That is, talking about a subject in which both of us as friends are deeply concerned. That is a dialogue, right? Is this clear? So that's what we are doing now. He asks a question, which is, he says, let us have a dialogue about what it means to be whole, what it means not to be broken up inside oneself, what it means, as one is broken up, fragmented, is there a possibility of living a life that is complete, whole, integral? Right? You talk about it. Discuss it. Have a dialogue. Go on, open the conversation.
It seems maybe I can't say what wholeness would be.
So, you say, as I cannot possibly discuss or dialogue what it means to be whole, all that I can do is say, find out whether I am broken up, right? Right? That is, doing one thing, saying another, having an ideal and living the opposite to that ideal, right? Thinking one thing and expressing quite a different thing. All that is fragmentation, isn't it? Which is not whole, right? To find the whole, you must negate what it is not. Is this clear? Huh? I want to find out what love is, for example. I really am deeply concerned to come upon this thing called love. Human beings have given a great deal of meanings to it, but I want to find out. So I say, is love hate? Right? Obviously it's not. So if there is no hate, there may be love. If there is no jealousy, there may be love. If there is no competition, there may be love. You follow? And so on. So by negating what it is not, we'll come upon what is. Right? Am I understood? New people, you have understood? That's what we'll talk about. We'll talk about it. Right. How do you get, this is a dialogue. We'll do it when? Tuesday. Shall we? On Tuesday, that is day after tomorrow, we are meeting students only here in this room with me. So we'll discuss fear there, so that you are completely free of fear. Thank God. All right? So when we discuss it, give you all your mind and your heart to find out. Don't be like the rest of the world, just accepting fear. So, he says, what is it to be whole? And he says, I don't know what it means to be whole. So to find out what it means, first you must say, well, anything that is fragmented, broken up, is not whole, right? So, are you fragmented? Of course. Aren't you? Huh? So you're not whole. So can you be not fragmented? So that when you say something, you really mean it. It corresponds to what you think, what you feel, and it is true. Right? Can you do that? And whole also means to have a very healthy body. Health, good health. And to have good health, smoking, drink, all that cannot take place. Right? And whole also means to be sane, rational, clear, not confused, not neurotic. You follow? If you eliminate all that, then you are whole. And the word whole means also holy, sacred. Then you become sacred. You understand? Then you are really an extraordinary human being. That's what we are trying to do at Brockwood. And you are as much responsible as the rest of us. Right? We're going to talk before I leave for India, which will be on October the 15th. Unfortunately, I have to go. We're going to talk over together fear, pleasure, love, compassion. How to be free completely of sorrow, fear, and understand what it means to have pleasure, enjoyment, all that, so that you become an extraordinarily sane human being. Right? We better stop now. It's 1 o'clock. Come on, it's 12 o'clock. Huh? You asked me to come down here at 11, didn't you? You have a whole hour before lunch? What do we do?
What about negative things? Negative thought? When you have some negative thought.
I don't know what negative thoughts. All thoughts are negative.
When you have some When you have a very
Yes, mean thought.
And then when you actually do it, you don't do it. See what I mean?
But I understand. You have mean thought, but you don't act meanly. Hmm? Now, why do you have mean thought? Because you dislike somebody? You hate somebody? Because somebody has hurt you? Somebody has said you are a fool? So you have mean thoughts because they have either hurt you physically or inwardly, psychologically. So in reaction, you have mean thought. Right? You call me a fool. I don't like to be called a fool. So I think I have mean thoughts about you, right?
But when I come and act towards you, I don't act mean.
No, I pretend to be very nice. But I don't want to live that way, pretending a life which is pretension, putting on, let's say, hypocrisy. I don't want to live that way. So I must find out whether it's possible not to have mean thoughts. Right?
Isn't it better to not to act the true way, but isn't it better from hating each other? I mean, it's very hard to explain. When I think something mean and then I act nice towards you. But if I acted meanly, then we would just go on hating each other.
Therefore, let's find out whether it's possible to be free of mean thoughts, right? Isn't that enough for this morning? It's 12. What are you going to do? You got to. Is that all right? May we get up now? For an hour we've had this. Otherwise they get bored, they get tired. This is too much, for a morning, for the first time. Is that enough? May I get up? Good.